الله أجورنا وأجوركم بمثابنا بالحسين عليه السلام. We give our condolences to the Imam of our time on the tragedy of Karbala. Inshallah, we'll start our program with Quran recitation, followed by poetry. Inshallah, we'll have speech afterwards and then end the program with Lutmiya. First, I'd like to request all of you to recite a Surah Fatiha for the marhumeens of the family who are sponsoring tonight's program. The marhumeens whose names are on this wall here, and all your marhumeens with the salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Now I'd like to request Brother Labib Jambe to come and start the program, Quran recitation with the salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ولقد خلقنا الإنسان ونعلم ما توسوس به نفسه ونحن أقرب إليه من حبل الوريد إذ يتلقى المتلقيان عن اليمين وعن الشمال قعيد ما يلفظ من قول إلا لديه رقيب عتيد وجاءت سكرة الموت بالحق وجاءت سكرة الموت بالحق ذلك ما كنت منه تحيد ونفخ في الصور ذلك يوم الوعيد وجاءت كل نفس معها سائق وشهيد لقد كنت في غفلة من هذا فكشفنا عنك غطاءك فبصرك اليوم حديد وقال قرينه هذا ما لدي عتيد ألقيا في جهنم كل كفار عنيد مناع للخير معتد مريب الذي جعل مع الله إلها آخر فألقياه في العذاب الشديد قال قرينه ربنا ما أطغيته ولكن كان في ضلال بعيد قال لا تختصموا لدي وقد قدمت إليكم بالوعيد ما يبدل القول لدي وما أنا بظلام للعبيد قال لا تختصموا لدي وقد قدمت إليكم بالوعيد ما يبدل القول لدي وما أنا بظلام للعبيد يوم نقول لجهنم هل امتلأت فتقول هل من مزيد ما يبدل القول لدي وما أنا بظلام للعبيد
the transition of canon. So that's what you have to.
جهنم هل امتلأت وتقول هل من مزيد وأزلفت الجنة للمتقين غير بعيد وأزلفت الجنة للمتقين غير بعيد هذا ما توعدون لكل أواب حفيظ من خشي الرحمن بالغيب وجاء بقلب منيب ادخلوها بسلام ذلك يوم الخلود لهم ما يشاءون فيها ولدينا مزيد صدق الله العلي العظيم وبلغ رسوله الكريم صلوات الله
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
लाम वो नाम के जिस लाम से इस्लाम हुआ
یہ سیاور ہوئے مشکل میں ہر ایک بندے کی، یہ سیاور ہوئے مشکل میں ہر ایک بندے کی، صدقہ اسلام کے کیا خوب علی نام، یہ سیاور ہوئے مشکل میں ہر ایک بندے کی، صدقہ اسلام کے کیا خوب علی نام ہوا، عین سے درود پڑھیے محمد آل محمد۔ حضرت قاسم کی شہادت کے حوالے سے کن تمنا کا تھا ابن حسن کا سہرا، کن تمنا کا تھا ابن حسن کا سہرا، ہائے افسوس مگر راس نہ آیا، سہرا کن تمنا کا تھا، خود کے پھولوں سے حوروں نے جسے گوندا تھا، خود کے پھولوں سے حوروں نے جسے گوندا تھا، ہے فسد ہے نے وہی تاکا، سیرا رخ پتھا جو بری نظروں سے بچانے دشمنوں کی نگاہ بد میں وہ آیا، سیرا کن تمنا کا تھا، جس میں ارمان تھے بہنوں کے تو حسرات ماں کی، جس میں ارمان تھے بہنوں کے تو حسرات ماں کی، تیغ و شمشیر ستم نے وہی کاٹا، سہرا کن تمناؤں کا تھا، لاش ٹکڑے ہوئی مقتل میں مگر اے راہی سر پہ قاسم کے رہا، نصرت سہرا کن تمناؤں کا تھا، ابن حسن کا سہرا، ہائے افسوس مگر راس نہ آیا، سہرا کن تمناؤں کا تھا۔ درود پڑھیے محمد و آل محمد۔
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد۔
فاتحہ۔ گھوڑے سے جب کہ قاسم میں گلگوں قبا گرا، گھوڑے سے جب کہ قاسم میں گلگوں قبا گرا، غل پڑ گیا نبی رہے مشکل کشا گرا، صف در جری بہادرو شیرے وغا گرا، خون میں نہا کے لختے دل مشتبہ گرا، گرتے ہی فوج ظلم کا مجمع بہم ہوا، زخمی پراہنر گئے فوج ستم ہوا، زخمی پراہنر گئے فوج ستم ہوا، مارا کسی نے پشت پا نیزے کو تان کے، کھٹکی سنان ظلم کلیجے میں آن کے، کوئی تبر لگا گیا مظلوم جان کے، تیغا کسی کا چل گیا
سر پر جوان کے پہلو بھی دونوں ہاتھ بھی یکسر فگار تھے دولہا کا ایک جسم تھا ہر بے ہزار تھے دولہا کا ایک جسم تھا ہر بے ہزار تھے حضرت کو دی صدا کے چچا جان آئیے خادم ہوا حضور پا قربان آئیے دنیا میں کوئی دم کہوں مہمان آئیے سر کاٹنے کا ہوتا ہے سامان آئیے جلاد پہنچے تیغ دو پے کر لیے ہوئے قاتل کھڑے ہیں ہاتھ میں خنجر لیے ہوئے قاتل کھڑے ہیں ہاتھ میں خنجر لیے ہوئے پہنچے حسین لاش پا جس دم بچشم نم اٹکا ہوا تھا آنکھوں میں ابن حسن کا دم سر اپنا پیٹ کر یہ پکارے شہ قاسم اٹھو کے آئے ہیں ملنے کو تم سے ہم موڑو ناک فاطمہ کے نور عین سے باتیں تو کچھ کرو دم آخر حسین سے باتیں کرو باتیں تو کچھ کرو دم آخر حسین سے کیا بولتے کہ موت نے تھا بے خبر کیا سیدھی ناک کینا منہ اپنا ادھر کیا ہچکی کے درد نے تو بالا جگر کیا بس مسکرا کے باغے جہاں سے سفر کیا حضرت چلے اٹھا کے تنے پاش پاش کو کاندھا دیا چچا نے بھتیجے کی لاش کو کاندھا دیا چچا نے بھتیجے کی لاش کو گھوڑے سے جب کے قاسم مولا کو غم دے آپ لوگوں سے واقع میں حسین کے صلی اللہ محمد و آل محمد اور وہ تمام مومنین مومنات جو آج اس مجلس میں شامل ہیں ان تمام لوگوں کی اور ان کے احوال و عیال کی صحت و سلامتی کے لیے بآواز بلند نعرہ صلوات
Inshallah, we'll continue our program, but before we do that, just want to talk about a few logistics. MashaAllah, we have many new visitors or azadar who are coming to the center. Just letting them know first about the parking. So, can you turn on the echo a little? As our parking lot fills up, please be, of course, respectful and mindful of the other attendees, and you can park. As long as you have spaces, you can do parallel parking or park in our parking slots. Once our parking lot fills up, we have permission to park in the adjacent property to the east of us, the very adjacent property to the east of us. It's the right next to us as you turn into our parking lot. If you don't make the turn, the next one is the property to the east of us. They have allowed us to park our overflow vehicles there, so anybody who arrives late and our parking lot is full, in the evenings we have their permission to park in their parking lot. So please use that. Just one request, that keep their parking lot clean. Please don't, and we don't do that, but just a reminder, we don't throw any trash or anything like that, so keep their parking lot clean. And they have allowed us to use their parking lot, again, the property to the east of us, the adjacent, very next property to ours, so we can use that. The other thing, as mashallah, more of you are coming as these nights are progressing, more of Azadar and Abdullah are coming to the center. We do want to follow the SOPs. So as you know, the men's section, at least this hall where I'm standing, is a bit small. So as it starts to fill up, we request that you can go to the basement. So we have TV and audio and video set up in the basement. So as this hall starts to fill up, please go to the basement, and the men can be in the basement as well. And there's audio, video, TV set up, so you can hear the speech and the program in the basement. So do that. The other thing we have done is starting today in the back patio, we have set up a TV, so people who are, I guess, uncomfortable coming inside the building, they can actually watch and listen to the program on the back patio. We have set up a TV, so you can, the audio and video is all available. Chairs are set up, so if again it starts to fill up, use the basement. If you don't want to be inside the building, you can be in the patio. The ladies also, if there are ladies who are uncomfortable coming inside the building, they can access the rear patio, and they can attend the program on the patio with the TV running the audio and video. So again, appreciate if you guys follow the SOPs and keep the distancing, and as the place starts to fill up, use the basement, use the patio, and inshallah we'll continue our programs and continue to give our fursa to Bibi Fatima and the Prophet and the Imam of our time. Ajjalallahu ta'ala farajak. One more announcement regarding Sunday school. You might have seen some posters being put up around the building for Sunday school. So we have it starting on the 12th of September. And I'm trying to read, I'm sorry, I should have had it on my phone, but it says open house and registration is on August 29th. So please, if you have children who are eligible for Sunday school and Sunday school age, please do come to the open house and registration, and do the registration on August 29th between 10:30 and 12:30 p.m. So please, as you can, again, a lot of credit goes to the Sunday school team who have can come together to start after a year and a half of COVID not allowing us to have Sunday school. They're starting up again. So please come for the open house and registration, and please register your child or children so that we can start Sunday school on the 12th of September. With that, inshallah, we'll start our program, continue our program with the speech. We are honored to have Sheikh Hussain Walji with us. Maulana has traveled from Minnesota to here after several days of issues with COVID and all that, but alhamdulillah, he's here. We are honored to have him here, and I'd like to request Maulana to come to the mimbar with a salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. أفلح
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
One more salawat in the name of our 12th Imam, Imam Sahib al-Asri wal Zaman.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
کہاں جائے آخر بیابان ہر سو شکستہ ہے پہلو اکیلی ہے زہرا کہاں جائے آخر بیابان ہر سو شکستہ ہے پہلو اکیلی ہے زہرا رونے کو پہرا مصائب کا صحرا اکیلی ہے زہرا در فاطمہ کو جلایا ہے تم نے کیا وعدہ اپنا بھلایا ہے تم نے در فاطمہ کو جلایا ہے تم نے کیا وعدہ اپنا بھلایا ہے تم نے تماچے نہ مارو مسلمانوں جاؤ علی کو بلاؤ اکیلی ہے زہرا رونے کو پہرا مصائب کا صحرا اکیلی ہے زہرا بیاں کس سے جا کر کروں درد اپنا ہے غیروں کی دنیا نہیں کوئی اپنا بیاں کس سے جا کر کروں درد اپنا یہ غیروں کی دنیا نہیں کوئی اپنا کوئی جا کے بابا سے کہہ دو یہ جا کر کہ لے جاؤ آ کر اکیلی ہے زہرا رونے کو پہرا مصائب کا صحرا اکیلی ہے زہرا اے لخت جگر اے حسن ابن حیدر یہ نانا کے پہلو میں سونے نہ دے اگر ہے لخت جگر اے حسن ابن حیدر یہ نانا کے پہلو میں سونے نہ دے اگر تم آ جانا پہلو میں سو جانا ماں کے بقی میں یہاں پر کے اکیلی ہے زہرا رونے کو پہرا مصائب کا صحرا اکیلی ہے زہرا شہ کربلا نے کہا رو کے ماں سے یہ مظلوم بیٹے یہ مظلوم ماں سے شہ کربلا نے کہا رو کے ماں سے یہ مظلوم بیٹے یہ مظلوم ماں سے اکیلا ہوں میں بھی اکیلی ہے زینب
अकेले है बाबा, अकेली है ज़हरा, रोने को पहरा मसाइब का सहरा, अकेली है ज़हरा। सरे मर्द अफ्तर था ज़हरा का नोहा, कब आओगे मेहदी, कब आओगे बेटा, खुदा के लिए अब ये पर्दा हटा दो, चले आओ आओ, अकेली है ज़हरा, रोने को पहरा मसाइब का सहरा, अकेली है ज़हरा। बमुहम्मद व आलि मुहम्मद सल्लल्लाहु रहमल्लाहु मन क़रा अल-फ़ातिहा। أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. بسم الله وبالله وصلى الله على محمد وآله وأفوض أمري إلى الله. إن الله بصير بالعباد. الحمد لله الذي هدانا لهذا وما كنا لنهتدي لولا أن هدانا الله. لقد جاءت رسل ربنا بالحق، والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين أبي القاسم محمد.
اللهم صل على محمد
روحي وجسمي ورواه العالمين لك الفداء يا ابن رسول الله. ثم السلام عليكم يا أهل العزاء الحسين جميعا ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين، خصوصا سيدي ومولاي يا أبا الفضل العباس بن أمير المؤمنين وقاسم بن الحسن ومسلم بن أكيل وهاني بن عروة وحبيب بن مظاهر والحر الشهيد الرياهي. السلام عليكم يا ساداتي وموالي جميعا ورحمة الله وبركاته. صلوات. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. خلق الموت والحياة ليبلوكم أيكم أحسن عملا. صدق الله العلي العظيم. صلوات. Question is,
how many of you have seen somebody dying? Raise your hands. If you've seen somebody that is really dying. And how many of you have seen somebody dead? So more people have seen somebody dead than the one who is dying. I don't want to scare you tonight so that you go home and you lie on your bed and you feel so scared. That's not my intent. But my intent is to let you know कि जब अहमद मुरसल न रहे तो कौन रहेगा? Death in the last 18 months of COVID has become so much evident to people. We've lost our friends, we have lost relatives. Some people have lost their dear ones, husbands, wives. And this pandemic has actually scared us to the extent that we have to wear a mask. Even to shake hands, we are scared. If somebody coughs near us, we are scared. If somebody sneezes in front of us, we are scared. Why? Because we are all aware that the current pandemic looks at no age, no nothing. If it comes, it comes. And it can catch anybody at any time. When we look at death, there are three things that we should not have in us. Three things, we are told. Because if you have any one of these three things, the death will be extremely painful, very painful. We pray salat, we fast, we go for hajj. Those are all wajibats, there are requirements, but there are three characteristics that we are told you cannot have in you. If you have them, you will go through an enormous pain. The first characteristic is that don't ever be an oppressor. Oppressor is someone who does zulm. Zulm. Who is an oppressor? Is it Saddam? Is it Yazid? Is it Pharaoh? They were oppressors, and we know that. But the oppressiveness that I'm talking about is the fact that any one of us could become an oppressor at any time. And therefore we should be aware and make ourselves aware that I am not one of those who is oppressive. How can we commit ourselves to be an oppressor? Very simple. I have a sister and she has a husband. They have a fight at home. Now, because she is my sister, right away, I say she is right. Or the mother looks at her daughter or her son and right away makes that decision that really that husband of yours is the oppressor, that he's doing zulm on you. when we take sides without realizing, not because somebody is my relative. You understand? If somebody is my relative, I cannot take sides. Sides have to be taken because it has to be just, regardless of relationship. Our communities are going through a very difficult time all the way around the world. Look at the numbers of divorces that are happening in our community today. It is at the highest level ever. And divorces that are happening are not happening within 6 months or 7 months. They are happening after 20 years, 28 years, 30 years. Why? Many a times we run into the issue of being somebody who is very aggressive. Very aggressive. You come at home after a long day's work, and then you have your child or your wife, or she has cooked certain food, and you say, "Tumne kya pakaya hai?" If you look at the reasons of the divorces, you'll be shocked why somebody wants to have a divorce, even after 28 years. Because the spouse is tired. And it could be either way. It doesn't have to be just the lady. It could be the other way, where the husband is absolutely tired now. He cannot bear it anymore. They've realized that their children have grown up. Now, let's part. We hear this all the time. And that aggressiveness does not justify, my brothers and sisters in Islam. I come from work and I am angry with my child. I abuse that child many times. Or I abuse my spouse for what she cooked. Okay. Because when she asks us the night before, "Bhai, aapko kya khana hai?" What do you want to eat? What does most of us say to her? "Mujhe halim khana hai." I don't think so. Not at home. You can tell that to the people in the mosque. But as far as at home, no. What will you say? "Jo bhi pakana hai, paka lo." Whatever you want to cook, cook. The poor thing goes out and cooks it. Think of her choice, thinking that that is something you do like, and I get so upset with that. Okay, what have you cooked? My mother used to cook better than you. Right away we compare. There's somebody that we have to compare with. So we compare with mother. We say, "Meri maa ne to tere se acha pakaya." You see, when we act like aggressively, and when we oppress anyone in the family without making sure, because remember, haq is haq. What is right is right. What is wrong is wrong. And that is what Abu Abdullah Hussain alayhi salam was teaching us. When you get into your life and you see haq and batil, then be on the side of haq. Don't be on the side of batil. And the Holy Prophet said that even if you are between haq and batil, it is still batil. It is still wrong what you have done. So, it is very important that we realize that this is something. You see, there was a child, he went to a scholar. The child goes to a scholar and said that my mother never is on my side. And he said, why, what happened? He said, every time I have an argument with somebody, she will say that call that person also. She never believes me. And the scholar said, because she is paving her way to the heaven. Because she's not listening. She wants to do just. Very hard thing, my brothers and sisters in Islam, to be very just. He said that my mom is not listening. She listens. All the mom listens to their children. But my mom does not listen. Well, she doesn't listen because she is paving her way towards heaven. She doesn't want to make any judgment at that point until she knows who is wrong. And we must adapt this sort of things in our homes, because just children grow, and they grow with that idea that it is okay for me to do what my parents are doing. And it is not okay. And we are being warned that, listen, if you do that, you will go through a very severe pain during your death. And as it is, death is painful, right? Imagine, I don't know, but imagine you go to a place where somebody is dying, and you look at that dying person, and he can see you, he can hear you, everything is fine, but he's very, very sick. The first thing that goes is this tongue. That's the first thing that goes. You can't talk. The people are around you, and they're asking you, how are you doing? What is happening to you? And the tongue is solid now. The thing that destroys many marriages today is this tongue. Allah has given 32 soldiers inside our mouth. 32 soldiers to protect what goes into your mouth. Right? And the organ that works the most is the tongue. But the tongue never gets sick. You might have cuts in your tongue, but have you ever heard somebody telling you that my tongue is paining? Very, very rare. Extremely rare. But the first thing that goes is your tongue. Now you are not able to say anything. Then goes the listening. Imagine you are on the deathbed and people are talking to you and you can't hear. And the last thing that goes is your eyesight. Now they will not be able to even tell you what is going first or last, because they cannot even talk. So death is a very difficult thing, as it is that a person sort of goes through, leaving their loved ones aside. And when that is happening, you don't want to create any more pain in that than the pain that you're already going through. The second thing that we are told, that you should not have these characteristics in you, is giving false statements. कसम से, मैं कसम खाती हूँ, और मैं कसम खाता हूँ. You find many people, कसम से, कसम से, कसम से. They swear. In English language, we call it the swearing. It's bad as it is in English, but it is bad to say kasam se, kasam se. Because Mawla Kainat, Hazrat Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam, he said
that my follower, listen to what he's saying. He said, my follower never lies. He may commit a sin, but one thing he does is he never lies. Therefore, it is important that, as I said last night, that we don't put these seeds into our children of lying. And lying is very, very dangerous. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that, remember, when you commit a sin, don't get disheartened if somebody tells you because you are committing a sin, your prayers are not going to be accepted. We have this habit. Right? भाई मैंने आपको देखा है, आप तो पता नहीं क्या कर रहे थे, आपकी नमाज नहीं चलेगी. Who are you to say that? The only judge is Maliki Yawmiddin. There's nobody else who can judge you. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, you commit a sin, come back to me and seek forgiveness right away. How many times do we say Astaghfirullah Rabbi wa atubu ilayh in our amals? We say in our prayers Astaghfirullah wa atubu ilayh. Allah has established that so that He knows that we are humans. We may commit sin. But with every time that I'm connected to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I'm trying to go there in purity by having to say Astaghfirullah wa atubu ilayh. I go into the sajda and I come up and I say Astaghfirullah Rabbi wa atubu. And I go back. What is that? We are being told that, listen, you are from that dust. You are now coming back. You are living and you are going to return back to it. Astaghfirullah is that just little time that I and you have in this world. That is it. There is no more time. We are thinking that we are, imagine, how many years are we going to live? 50, 60, 70, 80. So temporary. It is such a temporary time. 18 months of COVID went by. This is the second Muharram in COVID. We are just fortunate to be able to do what we are doing. But 18 months have gone by. When I see some of our community children, they are so grown up that it shocks me. That in 18 months, children have grown up so quickly. Because I didn't see them for 2 years. You understand? It shows us that time is moving very, very quickly now. Quicker than at any other time. And those are the signs of the day when the world will come to an end. Not in that way, but the appearance of our 12th Imam will first happen. Therefore, let us make sure that we don't do. One of the things that will help me and you is Salah. That is an absolute foundation for us if we understand what Salat in itself is. I get up in the morning, I even have that habit many times, so I will not say that I don't have that habit. I love the snooze button more than anything on my clock. I will be sleeping and suddenly the snooze starts. Now what do? I keep it 1.5 hours before it becomes qaza. So I say, first time it snoozes and I press the button. And I go back to sleep for another 5, 7, 10 minutes, whatever. Again it comes again. Again it comes again. My wife turns over to me and says, are you ever going to shut off that alarm? And I say, then why don't you keep an alarm too? Right? You're so worried about my alarm. I will try and get up when it is 10 minutes to qaza. then I will get up and do my prayers. Because I know now it is going to be qaza. This is humans. We all do that. It's not something that I'm saying you do it and I don't do it. We all do it. We do that. But we have to understand, Ayatollah Tabatabai and Ayatollah Bahjat, may Allah give them a place in Jannah, had a teacher whose name was Ayatollah Qazi, a very powerful teacher. And when somebody came to Ayatollah Qazi and said, what can I do to resolve my issues of my life? What can I do? Give me only one thing that I say. Because he said, the person said, because I don't have time for everything else. Even at that time, that's what he was saying. He said, I don't have time for everything. Just tell me one thing, only one thing, that will make me closer to my Lord and resolve all my issues. And you know what Ayatollah Qazi said? He said, just pray your salat on time for 40 days. Just 40 days. Pray on time. He said that if the problem that you have, he's telling that man, if the problem continues after you doing and praying for 40 days on time, then come on my grave and spit on my grave. That is the assurance he's giving. Because timeliness of prayer is very, very important. I know we are so worried about ihtiyat. My brothers and sisters, you know how namaz time starts? First you have a sunset, right? In most part of the world, including the West, it's 15 minutes after sunset. Then you put another 5 minutes, that's ihtiyat. That's finished now. Your ihtiyat is done. Today, Iran, and may Allah bless those Marajas in Iran as well, who have made an effort that even these watches that we have, and if you look at the prayer watch, this prayer watch gives you the exact time, no matter where you are in the world, of when your Maghrib time is. Exact time it gives you. And that is a valid time because it comes from Iran. It doesn't come from my thinking that what should be the position of the skies. No, it doesn't come. It comes from them, absolute calculation. And when we asked Sayyid Muhammad Ridwi, may Allah give him a long life in Toronto, he said precisely that. He said, you know what, now our communities everywhere in the world should have no problem if they look at their prayer watch, and most of the Shia watch these apps today have those correct times. Most of them. Nasimco has it. The World Federation has it. And there are so many other applications. And you can look at it, try to compare, but this particular timing is the most perfect time. So try and make sure that you do your prayers on time. Now I'm not talking about namaz-e-jama'at here. Namaz-e-jama'at is a little exception to that rule. If the people feel that there are more people who can join within 5 minutes, delay it. Nothing wrong with that. If you know that my community will all be here within 10 minutes, you can cut your marsiya. But do namaz-e-jama'at, even if it is after 10 minutes. You can tell me, cut my lecture for 10 minutes. I'll do it. Because what you are doing is wajib. And that wajibat is so beautiful. Aba Abdullah al-Hussain alayhi salam, He said, I talked about sajda yesterday. And I want to let you know. He said that if a human being, a Muslim, in his sajda, only if he realizes that how beautiful that sajda is, he would never lift his head from the sajda. He would never lift his head. Because there is nothing, as I said, that brings you closer and closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala than that sajda is. That is what we are told, that these are important things that we remember. This Sayyid Qazi, let me tell you something else about him. Sayyid Qazi, when he passed away, and Ayatollah Bahjat had him in his dream. Do you know what he said? He said that I wish, he said. Now Sayyid Qazi, he said, I saw him. It was like a beautiful heaven that he was in. And I could see so many beautiful things around him with water flowing and everything. And Sayyid Qazi said, I wish, he said. I wish I would have recited Ziyarat Ashura or Ziyarat Warisa at least 3 times a day, because the benefit that I have received by just reciting once a day is so enormous. That's why never, as a community, I will tell you this. There are 2 things, don't ever miss it at any cost. Any cost. Because it is important. If you do that and show the importance, then only children will realize what is important for me when I go into a center. And that is why on a Thursday, don't ever miss either Ziyarat Waritha or Ziyarat Ashura. Make sure it is part of your custom in this community. Just make sure. And the other is Dua Kumail. You know, we sometimes in Muharram, we say, no, you know, it's Muharram hai, there is Marsiya, there is Quran, there is lecture, don't miss that, my brothers. If there is any time you need even more, is during this time. You understand? And Dua Kumail can be recited before Maghrib on a Thursday. There is not a problem at all. There is no such thing that you have to recite at Maghrib or after Maghrib. No. Even if you recite it once in your lifetime, you have a reward. But if you can recite at least once a week. If you don't have a habit of reciting at home, you see, there was a plague, there was an epidemic or a pandemic in Karbala, history says, that so many people were dying. This is in Karbala. And they found that every house had somebody who had died. But they found one house that everybody was protected. And so they decided to go and ask him, what does he do? He said, I don't do anything. He said, no, you must be doing something that we are not doing. Now this is in Karbala. He said, what are you doing? He said, the only thing I do in the morning is I recite Ziyarat Ashura. That is the only thing I do. And he was protected. That is why we are told that in this pandemic, if you want to save yourself and your family, if you can recite at least Ziyarat Ashura once a day. And my brothers and sisters, it does not take long to complete this Ziyarat. It may sound like it's taking it forever, but it doesn't. It doesn't take. It takes less than 10 minutes, less than 7 minutes to recite this particular Ziyarat. So Sayyid Qazi, he is saying that how important it is. Imam Ja'far as-Sadiq alayhi salam, He said if somebody recites this ziyarat, either Ashura or Ziyarat Waritha, his 100,000 sins are washed and he is given 100,000 deeds, good deeds to him or her. That is the power. It is a very powerful thing. So these are the things that we do, and we try and wash our sins. But as I was telling you, that these are the things, salat is very important, because these things, being oppressive and being somebody that just says kasam se, or keeps on lying, takes you nowhere. You have these two things, you will be in pain during your death. We are told it will be severe pain. That's why when in Salat we are the believers of Abu Abdullah al-Hussain. We recite in our ziyarat, Ziyarat Waritha, say, Ashhadu annaka akamta as-salat, wa atayta az-zakat, wa amarta bil-ma'ruf, wa nahya. That was the mission of Abu Abdullah al-Hussain. That's why we recite this. We bear witness, we are saying, that is why you went to Karbala. And if that is the reason, and salat is the number one thing, imagine, he asks Umar ibn Sa'ad, la'natullah alayh, he asks him and seeks one more night, because Ashura would have happened on the 9th of Muharram. Abu Abdullah al-Hussain asked for one more night. You know why? For two things only. Now he is already going to heaven. Right? Those who are with him were already going to heaven. Let it be on the 9th. But no, he wanted to give an important message to the ummah that listen, the recitation of salat, or even if it is a sunnah salat, you keep on reciting, because that's what brings you closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the other thing is the recitation of the Holy Quran. He wanted to make sure that he gives the ummah this habit, that try and read Quran. And there is no better companion for us in our qabr and akhirat than Quran itself. Imagine that Holy Quran that you are. Of course, these days it's on the phone, and you're not going to take your phone there. But it is said that Quran itself will bear witness for you. That at least you took 5 minutes of your time daily and read only one makra, one juz of the Holy Quran. That's it. And then look at the meaning and try and understand. And the beauty of Quran is that when you come back to that surah after you finish 30 surahs, and you go back to the meaning that you first saw, you will find that the meaning is different than what you first saw. That's the beauty of Quran. It isn't that it changes its meaning, but the beauty of Quran is that it will teach you more than what it taught you last year. That is the beauty of the Holy Quran. So make sure you do this. And when Imam Ali Zainul Abidin alayhi salam, when he came from the war, from Medina, when he reached Medina, there was a person that came to him and said to Imam Ali Zainul Abidin, so who won? Did you win or did Yazid win? He said, look at you. When you left Medina, it was that everybody was on their camels, nicely decorated and everything. Now that when you have come, it is just black clothes. Who won? He said. And Imam Ali Zainul Abidin says to him, why don't you go and pray 2 rakat namaz? First go and pray and then come back. So he goes to pray his namaz. And he comes back. He said, so now tell me who won? He said, you've already done that action that I told you. Had it been that you would have refused to pray salat, He said, no, that I can't do. He said, well, that is what he established forever. This is what Abu Abdullah Hussain established forever. Or there would have been no namaz among the Muslims. So it's important. And then the third thing that we are told is never usurp any property of an orphan. Don't ever do that. Or you will be in such a pain during your death. Don't do that. In Najaf, the scholars in Najaf, they are very strict. Abu Haidar knows in Najaf. The scholars are extremely strict in how they take it. So when somebody dies, when a father dies, the scholars many a times will not go to eat at their house. You know why? They will say that maybe in inheritance, the only thing that the father may have left for that family is their food. So if I go there as a scholar, I will take something away from an orphan. This is how they are so strict about that. Orphanages. In Iraq, mashallah, if you go to Karbala, you go to Najaf, you see some of the most beautiful orphanages that are there today, helping hundreds and thousands of children today. Look at in Afghanistan what is happening. Again, the children are going to suffer, as I said yesterday. You look in Haiti with all this earthquake. They haven't even recovered from an earthquake that was just 10, 12 years ago. And another one has hit them. But never take away. It is not about the orphans only during the war. Make sure that when inheritance is being distributed, you don't take part in taking away some orphan's property, or you will be in pain. And one of the important things that we need to do is make sure you have a will, my brothers and sisters. A will. In Islam, a will is written for your 1/3. You cannot write a will that, oh, you know, when I die, I will give this to my wife, and I will do this, and I will do this, and I will do this. You can't. Islamic will means that you distribute your 1/3 of your property. Okay. And do that. And then make sure that the rest of it, you either give it to the people when they're alive, or at least talk to them and let them know. The American will today will cover that entire wealth that you have. And when you have that, you will be covered then. But the 1/3 is an Islamic will. And if you wrote all that, and nobody knew nothing about it, and you die, the will dies with you. Literally. And nothing will come out of it. And nothing brings disheartened, unfortunately, in a family, is when there is wealth there. That is why the Holy Prophet, you know, he was a prophet. But his prayers were to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Ya Allah, when you take me from this world, make sure I don't have anything. When he wanted to give sadaq, he gave it in his lifetime. He didn't say that when I die it will be. No, he gave it. He had talked to Janab Fatimatu Zahra salamullah alayhi. So it is very, very important that we don't take away that belongs to an orphan. And who is an orphan? We can't say, sometimes when I say, people say we are all orphans. Because our parents are all dead. An orphan is an orphan who is under the age of bulugh. An 18-year-old is not an orphan. But a 15, 14-year-old can be an orphan. You understand? So make sure that when you do that, you do it in such a way that the right that belongs to those who needs to get, they get it. You see, wealth is, it's mind-boggling. It's really mind-boggling. If I tell you there is 20% homes, and I always say set up one date. For example, myself, I set up the date of Muharram. 1st of Muharram is my date for homes. If I have savings that I have saved for 1 year in a savings account where you have nothing, you're getting nothing today in a bank. But it is wajib on you to take out homes from that 20% from there. And there are rules on this, and you should read the rules, because some of the rules that Ayatollah Sistani has now come up with, may Allah give him a long life, are some very beautiful rules now, particularly for people in the West, that you will be amazed at what he's saying. At what point should you take out your homes 20%? But remember, it is 20%. Now the more I save, and I say, you know what, I'll wait till next year, and I wait till next year, and I wait till next year. What is going to happen? If it becomes from 5,000 to 10,000 to 15, it gets very difficult. Yeah, I'm not getting any return, and here I'm paying taxes, and now I have to pay 20% more. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala never keeps anybody's money. Always look at it that way. He has never kept any money. If you give that money in His name, the return will be 10 times more than what you ever earned. It will always come to you. So it is important. These are important things that we should learn and we should try. And there are wills, there are apps of how to write will, and all those things are available today. So we should spend some time to do the things so tomorrow our children don't run into an issue. Wealth is such, when you look at water, the ship on a water feels that this is a mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that a ship can actually be on the water. But that same water, if it overpowers that ship and goes into the ship will sink. Wealth is like that. It will overpower us. When you see the centers, when you see the orphanages, there is more need today out there than at any other time in history. There are apps especially for sadaqah, and I will talk about that because it's so important for us to understand. Because we are looking for things that will protect us from the environment that we are in. Not just the pandemic, but the environment that we are living in today. It will help and protect us. And that is what we see. Death never came to make our life miserable. You understand? Death came to improve the quality of life that we have on this earth. That years, 60 years, 70 years, 80. Imagine how much time will you spend in the qabr compared to what you are on the earth. Have you ever thought of it? I will spend 70, 80 years, but I go into my qabr, I could be there for thousands of years. Thousands. People have died from the time of Hazrat Adam. They're still in barzakh. Hopefully. Because otherwise we will be suffering not only here above the earth, but even below the earth. We will suffer. So it is these things, and that is why when Janab Qasim was asked by Abu Abdullah al-Hussain, when he asked Qasim, you see, Imam Hussain alayhi salam had prepared a list of all those who will die in Karbala. All of those. And he was showing, and he was reading out the names before the day of Ashura. Names of all those. And when he came to the name of Qasim, he says to Qasim, Qasim, what is death to you? He's only 13, 14-year-old child. And he said, it is more sweeter than honey. This is what a 13, 14-year-old child of Imam Hassan alayhi salam says to Abu Abdullah al-Hussain. Imam Hassan alayhi salam lost 7 children in Karbala. 7 of them. One was Abdullah ibn Hassan, who had a different mother. And it is said that when Abu Abdullah al-Hussain came down from the horse and he fell on the ground, there was a man that came with a sword and he wanted to hit on the back of Abu Abdullah al-Hussain. And this young boy of 12 years of age was with his mother, and his mother was holding him. He just took his hand off and he ran towards Abu Abdullah al-Hussain. And just as the sword was coming, he kept his 2 hands on Abu Abdullah al-Hussain, and his hands were gone. And he lost his life like that. Janab Qasim, on the night of Ashura, Janab Farwa, his mother, was walking and she heard a noise in a tent of a child who was sitting, folding his hands and crying. So she heard the noise, so she goes to Janab Zainab and she says, let's go to that tent. There is a child that is crying. When they entered the tent, it was none other than Qasim himself. He was crying. And Janab Farwa said, what is wrong, my son? He said, I've been trying to ask my uncle to let me go, but he doesn't want to let me go. What should I do now? Janab Farwa used to say, oh my son Qasim, I have come here because of you. Because of what your father, before he passed away, he said, make sure Qasim goes to Karbala if he's needed by Abu Abdullah al-Hussain. So the only thing she had was this one child. But here is Janab Qasim. And Janab Farwa remembered that Imam Hassan had given a taweez to wear on his right hand. And so Janab Farwa reminds him and says, take that taweez out. That was given to you by your father. He takes out the taweez and they read in the taweez. The taweez were addressed to Abu Abdullah al-Hussain, that when Qasim comes to you to seek permission, give him the permission to go. At that moment, Janab Qasim was so excited. He was so happy that my turn has come. So he goes to Abu Abdullah al-Hussain and he says, here is something from my father to you. Imam looks at it and said, Qasim, why don't you come here? He hugged the little boy so hard. Then he said, oh Qasim, ask somebody to bring an armory that he could make sure that it is given to Janab Qasim. He said, I will help you wear it. They bought an armory, they brought one, Imam tried, but it was too long. Then again Imam tried another one, it was too long. And finally Janab Qasim said, oh uncle, don't worry about the armory, just give me the permission to go. And Qasim left. when Janab Qasim was fighting and fighting, somebody hit him from the back. And Janab Qasim fell down and said, "Oh my uncle, come to my rescue." Imam Hussain went towards Qasim. But by the time he would reach Qasim, Umar ibn Sa'ad said, "The horses from the east go towards west and west go towards east, from one side to the other, and the horses trample the body of Janab Qasim." I don't know what Qasim must have gone through. Can you imagine? He was still alive when he fell from the horse. But I don't know what he went through, and the horses started to go left to right to left. Imam came near Qasim and sat down and said, "Oh Qasim, I'm so sorry." He said, "I'm so sorry that I did not reach you in time." He took out his abba and laid it on the ground. Historians say there were parts of Qasim that were separated from his body. Imam gathers everything and takes his body and wraps it up and comes towards the khayma. When he reached the khayma, he said, "Call Janab Farwa, for she can play her last respect." Just imagine, history says that before Qasim, Ali Akbar's lash was already there. When Ali Akbar's lash was there, Imam puts the body of Qasim next to him. There was a little gap between those two bodies, and Janab Farwa says, she looks there and she says, to Imam Hussain, "Where is Qasim?" Because he was wrapped up in a cloth in his upper. And that moment said, "Oh, Janab Farwa, look at, this is Qasim that I have laid next to Ali Akbar." Janab Farwa sits between Ali Akbar and Qasim. We pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that, Ya Allah, today we are crying, these tears are for just a 13, 14-year-old. We will cry for Ali Akbar, we will cry for Abbas. We have already cried for Ono Muhammad. But we will also cry for a 6-month-old baby. Ya Allah, accept the tears. Accept these tears. And give us the right path, and make sure that at the time of death, Abu Abdullah al-Hussein comes and visits us. ألا لعنة الله على القوم الظالمين. وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم بحق محمد وأنت المحمود، بحق علي وأنت الأعلى، بحق فاطمة وأنت فاطر السماوات والأرض، بحق الحسن وأنت المحسن، بحق الحسين وأنت قديم الإحسان. إلهي توبة قبل الموت، وراحة عند الموت، ومغفرة بعد الموت، والنجاة من النار، ودخولا في الجنة، وعافية من كل بلاء الدنيا وعذاب الآخرة. ماتم حسین.
ہو گیا مرنا ستم عباس کا، کرتے ہیں ماتم حرم عباس کا. ہو گیا مرنا ستم عباس کا، کرتے ہیں ماتم حرم عباس کا. ہو گیا مرنا ستم عباس کا، کرتے ہیں ماتم حرم عباس کا. ہو گیا مرنا ستم عباس کا، ماتم حرم عباس کا. ہو گیا مرنا ستم عباس کا، ماتم حرم عباس کا. ہو گیا مرنا ستم عباس کا، ماتم حرم عباس کا. ہو گیا مرنا ستم عباس کا، ماتم حرم عباس کا. ہو گیا مرنا ستم عباس کا، ماتم حرم عباس کا. ہو گیا مرنا ستم عباس کا، ماتم حرم عباس کا. ہو گیا مرنا ستم عباس کا، ماتم حرم عباس کا. لاش قاسم کا نظر آیا، حسن یاد آئے. 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 اس گھڑی روئے بہت، اس گھڑی روئے بہت، شہ کو حسن یاد آئے. لاش قاسم کا نظر آیا، حسن یاد آئے. لاش قاسم کا نظر آیا، سلامت یاد آئے. ٹکڑے قاسم کے چنے اور عبا میں ڈالے. ٹکڑے قاسم کے چنے اور عبا میں ڈالے. باندھ کر لاشا ہے، باندھ کر لاشا اٹھایا تو حسن یاد آئے. لاش قاسم کا نظر آیا، حسن یاد آئے. لاش قاسم کا نظر آیا، حسن یاد آئے. مہندی ارمانوں کی ہاتھوں میں لگا کر مالک، مہندی ہاتھوں، مہندی ارمانوں کی ہاتھوں میں لگا کر مالک. صحرا ماتھے پہ لیے، صحرا ماتھے پہ سجایا تو حسن یاد آئے. لاش قاسم کا نظر آیا، حسن یاد آئے. لاش قاسم کا نظر آیا، حسن یاد آئے. اس گھڑی روئے بہت، اس گھڑی روئے بہت، شہ کو حسن یاد آئے. لاش قاسم کا نظر آیا، حسن یاد آئے. لاش قاسم کا نظر آیا، حسن یاد آئے. ٹکڑے قاسم کے چنے
اور ابا میں ڈالے بند کر لاشا ہے بند کر لاشا اٹھایا تو حسن یاد آئے لاشا قاسم کا نظر آیا حسن یاد آئے لاشا قاسم کا نظر آیا حسن یاد آئے لاشا قاسم کا نظر آیا ماشاءاللہ یاد آئے اس گھڑی روئے بہت اس گھڑی روئے بہت شہ کو حسن یاد آئے لاشا قاسم کا نظر آیا حسن یاد آئے لاشا قاسم کا نظر آیا حسن یاد آئے ہائے قاسم نہ تیرے ٹکڑے بدن کے ہوتے ہائے قاسم نہ تیرے ٹکڑے بدن کے ہوتے وہ کے سینے سے لگایا وہ کے سینے سے لگایا تو حسن یاد آئے لاشا قاسم کا نظر آیا حسن یاد آئے لاشا قاسم کا نظر آیا حسن یاد آئے اس گھڑی روئے بہت اس گھڑی روئے بہت شہ کو حسن یاد آئے لاشا قاسم کا نظر آیا حسن یاد آئے لاشا قاسم کا نظر آیا حسن یاد آئے فیض شبیر جو قاسم کا جنازہ لائے فیض قبیر جو قاسم کا جنازہ لائے زخم تیروں کے ہے زخم تیروں کے جنازے میں حسن یاد آئے لاشا قاسم کا نظر آیا حسن یاد آئے لاشا قاسم کا نظر آیا حسن یاد آئے اس گھڑی روئے بہت اس گھڑی روئے بہت شہ کو حسن یاد آئے لاشا قاسم کا نظر آیا حسن یاد آئے لاشا قاسم کا نظر آیا حسن یاد آئے ہائے قاسم نہ تیرے ٹکڑے بدن کے ہوتے ہائے قاسم نہ تیرے ٹکڑے بدن کے ہوتے وہ کے سینے سے ہے وہ کے سینے سے لگایا تو حسن یاد آئے لاشا قاسم کا نظر آیا حسن یاد آئے لاشا قاسم کا نظر آیا حسن یاد آئے یا حسین 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 یا حسین
قاسم تیری قربانی پہ رب کی رضا روتی رہی قاسم تیری قربانی پہ رب کی رضا روتی رہی قاسم تیری قربانی پہ رب کی رضا روتی رہی قاسم تیری قربانی پہ رب کی رضا روتی رہی قاسم تیری قربانی پہ رب کی رضا روتی رہی چہرے کی لڑیاں چوم کر خاکے شفا روتی رہی قاسم تیری قربانی پہ رب کی رضا روتی رہی قاسم تیری قربانی پہ رب کی رضا روتی رہی ٹکڑے ہوا لاشا تیرا قاسم یتیم مجتبی ٹکڑے ہوا لاشا تیرا قاسم یتیم مجتبی ماتم کیا سادات نے، ماتم کیا سادات نے، کرب و بلا روتی رہی، قاسم تیری قربانی پہ رب کی رضا روتی رہی،
قاسم تیری قربانی پہ رب کی رضا روتی رہی،
رو رو کے کرتی تھی فغاں، مارا گیا قاسم جوان، رو رو کے کرتی تھی فغاں، مارا گیا قاسم جوان، کرب و بلا کے دشت میں، کرب و بلا کے دشت میں، ماں کی صدا روتی رہی، قاسم تیری
قربانی پہ رب کی رضا روتی رہی، قاسم تیری قربانی پہ رب کی رضا روتی رہی،
گھوڑے سے جب قاسم گرے تقسیم جب لاشا ہوا، گھوڑے سے جب قاسم گرے تقسیم جب لاشا ہوا، خیموں میں ماتم تھا بپا، خیموں میں تھا ماتم بپا، آلے ابا روتی رہی،
قاسم تیری قربانی پہ رب کی رضا روتی رہی، قاسم تیری قربانی پہ رب کی رضا روتی رہی،
مادر کے دل میں آس تھی دیکھوں گی قاسم کی خوشی، مادر کے دل میں آس تھی دیکھوں گی قاسم کی خوشی، گٹھری میں لاشا دیکھ کر، گٹھری میں لاشا دیکھ کر، ماں کی دعا روتی رہی، قاسم تیری
قربانی پہ رب کی رضا روتی رہی، قاسم تیری قربانی پہ رب کی رضا روتی رہی،
لرزی زمیں کانپا فلک، قاسم ہوئے پامال جب، لرزی زمیں کانپا فلک، قاسم ہوئے پامال جب، جواد سر کو پیٹ کر، جواد سر کو پیٹ کر، رن میں قضا روتی رہی، قاسم
تیری قربانی پہ رب کی رضا روتی رہی، قاسم تیری قربانی پہ رب کی رضا روتی رہی،
ایک ماتم اور کیا جائے یا اس کے بعد یا حسین
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 یا
یا
حسین
حسین
یا حسین
یا حسین
یا حسین
یا حسین
یا حسین،
مل کے سب ماتم شبیر کریں، سب مل کے ساتھ، مل کے سب ماتم شبیر کریں، مل کے سب
ماتم شبیر کرے،
مل کے سب ماتم شبیر کریں،
مل کے سب ماتم شبیر کرے،
دل بدل سینہ بسینہ کربلا تعمیر کرے، مل کے سب
ماتم شبیر کرے،
مل کے سب
ماتم شبیر کرے،
یہ ماتم پہچان ہماری، اس پہ جان قربان ہماری، جسم یہی یہ جان ہماری، یہ ماتم ہے شان ہماری، کہتا ہے ایمان ہمارا سارے جوان اور پیر کرے، مل کے سب
ماتم شبیر کرے،
مل کے سب
ماتم شبیر کرے،
اصغر تیری پیاس کا ماتم، اکبر کا عباس کا ماتم،
حسرت کا اور یاس کا ماتم، حاصل ہے احساس کا ماتم، لاکھ زمانہ ہم کو روکے ہم اس کی تشہیر کریں، مل کے سب ماتم شبیر کریں، مل کے سب ماتم شبیر کریں، یہ ماتم مظلوم کا ماتم، زہرا کے معصوم کا ماتم، پانی سے محروم کا ماتم، تیغ تلے حلقوم کا ماتم، اس ماتم سے ہم جو چاہیں وقت کو زنجیر کریں، مل کے سب ماشاءاللہ مل کے سب ماتم شبیر کریں، آب کی زنجیر کا ماتم، خوش گلے اور تیر کا ماتم، زینب کا شبیر کا ماتم، دل سے کریں دلگیر کا ماتم، جو ماتم زینب نے کہا تھا ہم اس کی تفسیر کریں، مل کے سب ماتم شبیر کریں، مل کے سب ماشاءاللہ مومن شبیر کریں، ماتم کیا ہے شہ کا علم ہے، یہ ماتم تو دین کا بھرم ہے، جس سے خوشی ہو وہ یہ غم ہے، حق یہی ماتم پرچم ہے، اس پرچم کو اس ماتم کو سینوں پر تحریر کرے، مل کے سب ماتم شبیر کرے، مل کے سب ماتم شبیر کرے، یاد میں تیری شام غریباں ماتم کرنے والے انسان کرتے ہیں جب چاک گریباں، زہرا خود ہوتی ہے گریاں، سنت زہرا ہے ماتم، اس کو عالمگیر کرے، مل کے سب ماتم شبیر کرے، مل کے سب ماتم شبیر کرے، مل کے سب ماتم شبیر کرے، دل بدل سینہ بسینہ کربلا تعمیر کرے، مل کے سب ماتم شبیر کرے، مل کے سب ماتم شبیر کرے، یا حسین 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 صلی اللہ محمد وآل محمد صلی اللہ محمد وآل محمد. متوجہ زیارت. After ziyarat there is some nazar in the Imam Barga. I would like all the mu'mineen to please go and take it. This is Hazrat Qasim's nazar. Sallallahu Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد أزور ساداتي وموالي قربتنا الله تعالى. السلام على رسول الله، السلام على نبي الله، السلام على حبيب الله، السلام على الرسول المسدد، السلام على أبي القاسم محمد. السلام عليك يا سيدي مولاي ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام على أمير المؤمنين، السلام على سيد الوصيين، السلام على يعسوب الدين، السلام على إمام المتقين، السلام على أسد الله الغالب، السلام على علي بن أبي طالب ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام على سيدتي ومولاتي فاطمة الزهراء سيدة نساء العالمين،
السلام عليك يا سيدتي ومولاتي ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام على سيدي ومولاي الإمام الحسن بن علي الزكي الولي الناصح الأمين ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام على سيدي ومولاي أبي عبد الله الحسين. السلام عليك يا سيدي مولاي وعلى ولديك العليين. السلام عليك وعلى أولادك المستشهدين وأصحابك المستشهدين بين يديك. السلام عليك وعلى أخيك بالفضل العباس بن أمير المؤمنين. السلام عليك وعلى أختك الحوراء زينب ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام على ساداتي وموالي أئمة المسلمين علي بن الحسين ومحمد بن علي وجعفر بن محمد وموسى بن جعفر وعلي بن موسى ومحمد بن علي وعلي بن محمد والحسن بن علي والحجة القائم المهدي عجل الله تعالى فرجه وسهل الله مخرجه وظهوره وجعلنا من أتباعه وأعوانه وأنصاره والذابين عنه والمستشهدين بين يديه ورحمة الله وبركاته.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. أمن يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء. 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 يا مجيب دعوة المضطرين، يا كاشف كرب المكروبين، يا مزيل هم المهمومين، يا مشافي يا معافي يا حنان يا ديان يا منان. اللهم نقسم عليك بحق الخلق إليك محمد وآل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين. اللهم شافي كل مريض، اللهم اقضي حاجة كل محتاج، اللهم اقضي دين كل مدين، اللهم اقضي حوائج المؤمنين في جمعنا المبارك هذا يا الله. اللهم أولادنا وبناتنا احفظهم بحفظك يا الله وسدد خطاهم لما فيه رضاك وصلاحهم يا الله. اللهم جميع المؤمنين في مشارق الأرض ومغاربها اللهم اقض حوائجهم يا الله. اللهم ارحم موتانا جميعا يا الله وارحمهم برحمتك ووسع عليهم قبورهم ونور قبورهم بنور وجهك الكريم يا الله. اللهم مراجعنا وعلمانا وفقهانا اللهم سدد خطاهم يا الله. ارحم شهداءنا يا الله. اللهم بحق محمد وآل محمد انصر شيعة علي بن أبي طالب على أعدائهم يا الله. اللهم انتقم من أعدائهم انتقاما عاجلا وليس آجلا يا الله. إلى أرواح أمواتنا ووالدينا ووالد والدينا وأرواح المؤمنين والمؤمنات، وإلى أرواح علمائنا وفقهائنا وشهدائنا ومراجعنا خصوصا الشيخ علي أرسطو وسيد نبيل والحاج أحمد عتريس رحم الله من قرأ الفاتحة قبلها الصلاة على محمد وآل محمد.
نعرہ